Hello everybody and welcome back. We got a couple of things to discuss as we continue on with our game review recap. We're going to be discussing the 16 games that happened over Thursday and Friday. We're going to be looking at all of those games. We're going to be previewing games that happened on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Plus we're also going to be discussing the standings as of today. We'll get to all of those coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. We are so close to 200 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without you guys, so don't forget to subscribe. But as usual, I'm going to do another game review recap here today, discussing all the games that happened on Thursday and Friday, and look ahead to the games that are going to happen on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So there are a lot of games that happened over the last couple of days. Starting on Thursday, we had 13 games. It was a really busy day on Thursday. We have a lot of very interesting games, so we'll start with all of those here. The LA Kings were able to come out with a 4-0 victory on Thursday over the Montreal Canadiens. This was a fantastic game for the LA Kings because it was their 11th consecutive road victory to start the season. LA is on fire right now to start the season on the road. 11 consecutive road wins to start a season is the NHL record. So the Kings are absolutely flying on the road. I mean, at home they're decent. At this point in time, they're 5-4-3, so they're not doing bad, but they're not great. But on the road, they're absolutely phenomenal, and the Kings are absolutely doing fantastic. Kings are up to 16-4-3 with the win, while with the loss the Canadiens dropped to 11-12-3. So not a bad record for the Canadiens. They're still only one game below 500, but still they wind up losing to the LA Kings. For LA, Byfield had 2 goals and 8 assists, Kopitar had 3 assists, both had 3-point nights. Doughty had a goal and 8 assists, Fiala had 2 assists, and Moore also scored for the Kings, while Talbot stopped all 24 shots he faced in the victory. So Kings, well, they were fantastic again. They continue to prove that they are one of the best teams in the Western Conference, one of the most complete teams in the NHL, and they look fantastic. Well, Montreal, being a rebuilding team, is not overly surprising that they lose to one of the best teams in the league, and they do fall back to below 500, so not too much of a surprise there. Then we saw the Toronto Maple Leafs wind up beating the Ottawa Senators 4-3. This was a really close game. Sens opened the scoring. Leafs were able to score 3 consecutive ones, and then there would be a couple of goals back and forth, but the Leafs were able to hold on for the victory. Really good win there for the Leafs against their Ontario rivals, who beat them the last time these two played. For Toronto, they improved to 13-6-4, while the loss for the Ottawa Senators drops them back down to below 500 at 10-11-0. So not an overly bad game there from the Ottawa Senators, but they do come away on the losing end of things. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, McCabe and Brody both had 2 assists, while Marner, Yarncroke, Kampf, and Nylander were the 4 goal scorers for the Leafs in the win, so definitely really good stuff there for the Leafs. While Jacob Bernard-Docker, who scored his first career NHL goal, as well as Giroux and Norris, were 3 goal scorers for the Senators in the loss. So not great stuff there from the Ottawa Senators. I mean, they definitely had a very fantastic game. It was not an overly bad game for the Ottawa Senators. They definitely kept in this really closely. They were leading at one point early in the first period, but it was not a game that they were able to win. So Sens have looked really well over the past couple of games, and it's on to the next one after a narrow loss, but another really good game there from the Leafs, who finally are able to win in regulation. Then we saw a very interesting game between the Sharks and the Red Wings on Thursday. Red Wings would score 4 goals within, I think, like 3 minutes of game action. They would get out to a 4-0 lead in the second period, but then just in the snap of a finger, the San Jose Sharks were able to come back, and like I think with 3 goals in like somewhere between a minute or 2 minutes to make it a 4-3 game. They were tied up before the second period ended to make it 4-4. So it goes from a scoreless game with about 11 minutes left in the second period to a 4-4 game in the second period, which was really crazy. This was a really weird game. The Red Wings would get a goal to make it 5-4. Sharks would tie it with the goalie pulled late in the game to make it 5-5. And then in overtime, this goal here, thanks to Mikael Granlund, during all clips will credit Sportsnet, but Granlund's OT winner was able to help the San Jose Sharks defeat the Detroit Red Wings 6-5 in overtime, completing yet another come from behind victory and improving the San Jose Sharks to 8-17-2, while dropping the Red Wings to 14-7-4. So it was not a great game there from the Red Wings to not hold on to a 4-goal lead, and definitely it looked like their defense collapsed, and this seems to be one of the major problems for the Red Wings, because on Tuesday they almost collapsed against the Buffalo Sabres. So they're not doing overly well right now, but still they are able to get a point out of it, so it's not overly bad, but they gotta stop blowing leads. As for the San Jose Sharks, another fantastic game there from the San Jose Sharks to overcome multiple deficits and get the huge win. For the San Jose Sharks, Granlund had a 3-point night, OT winner plus 2 assists, so definitely a really good game game there. Sturm and Hurdle both scored twice. Zetterlund had a goal and an assist, and Ruda added 2 assists for the Sharks in the win. Meanwhile, for the Detroit Red Wings, Rasmussen scored twice. Raymond had a goal and an assist. Fabry and Sherratt both had 2 assists, and Costin and Larkin also scored for the Red Wings in the loss. Like I said, not a great game there from the Red Wings to blow a lead and wind up losing in overtime. They do get a point out of it, but it's not something that they want to be doing a lot this year, so really bad stuff there. But the Sharks, who came back from them 4-1 on Tuesday against the Islanders, and now come back from them 4 against the Detroit Red Wings to beat them 6-5 in overtime. They continue to come back, and they're starting to play a lot better than they were earlier in the season. So fantastic stuff there from the Sharks. Then the Buffalo Sabres were able to beat the Boston Bruins 3-1. This was a really good game, close game between these two teams. This was probably one of the most complete efforts I've seen Buffalo in quite some time. So they improved to 11-14-2, and their losing streak, they're starting to gain a little bit of ground back up to 500. Meanwhile, for the Boston Bruins, they dropped to 17-5-3. So not bad stuff there for the Boston, but this was a close, winnable game for Boston, and they wound up losing. Olofsson, Thompson, and Peterka were 3 goal scorers for the Sabres, while Marchand was lone goal scorer for the Bruins in the loss. So once again, really close game between those two teams. They were both doing really good. They both kept pace with each other. It was a really good game, in my opinion. And this was a really good game for both sides, but the Buffalo Sabres were the victorious team, as they do come away with a huge victory to improve their record to 11-14-2. So good to see that they stopped their free falling and that they end one of the rivals in Boston, who drops a little bit, as Boston, who has not done overly badly this year, has started to fall off a little bit. They're not doing great over the past couple of games, and they're starting to fall a little bit, allowing teams like Florida and Toronto to catch up to them. So it will be interesting to see how the Boston Bruins do in their next game. The New York Islanders found themselves down 2-1 late in the second period against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Thursday, but then would score an absurd amount. They scored 3 goals, I think, to end the second period. They then would score 6 of the final 7 goals and wind up beating the Columbus Blue Jackets 7-3 to improve to 11-7-7, while dropping the Columbus Blue Jackets to 8-15-5. So this was an absolutely fantastic game. The Islanders exploded in the second half of this game with their offense and absolutely destroyed the Columbus Blue Jackets. Really good game there from the Islanders. Jackets once again have another collapse and another horrible third period. So not great stuff there from the Jackets. Barzal had 4.9 with 2 goals and 2 assists. Horvat had 3.9 with 2 goals and 8 assists. And Clutterbuck, Palmieri, and Engvall also scored for the Islanders in the win, while Fantilli had 3.9, 2 goals and 8 assists. Bemstrom had a goal and 8 assists, and Johnson had added 2 assists for the Jackets in the loss. So once again, not a great game there from the Jackets. Definitely could have done a lot better, and definitely they need to start playing better in the third, which we'll get to in a second, as they did play one more game this week. But definitely not great stuff there from the Jackets. You know, the Islanders, this is probably the most complete offensive game I've seen them play in quite some time. If they could play offensively like this every game, I would definitely be a lot more comfortable calling them a playoff team. But as they are not an overly confident offensive team, I still think that there's a possibility they could still fall out of the playoff spot. So it will be interesting to see, but this was a really fantastic one for the Islanders. Then we saw a back and forth game between Dallas and Washington that wound up being ended in a shootout, where Dallas taking out the Washington Capitals 5-4 in a shootout. So Caps continue to lose, and they continue to have problems defending at this point in time. Meanwhile, for the Stars, it's another win, and they're able to gain a little bit on the Colorado Avalanche. So that's really good stuff there for Dallas. They improved to 15-7-3, dropping the Capitals to 12-8-3. For the Stars, Hintz scored twice. Robertson had 2 assists. Marchman and Seguin also scored in regulation, while Robertson, who was the lone goal scorer in the shootout for the Stars, in the win. Meanwhile, Strome had 2 assists. Protas had a goal and 8 assists. Kuznetsov also scored, while Ovechkin tallied his 1500th NHL point. A very fantastic milestone for Ovechkin in this game, and that was in the shootout loss for the Washington Capitals. It wasn't a fantastic game from the Washington Capitals, but Ovechkin was able to get his 1500th point. They did have a couple of leads in this game, but the Stars were able to come back and defeat them in a shootout 5-4. So not great stuff there, and they just started getting their defensive act together, as early in the season they were having fantastic defensive performances, which were leading to their wins, and now they've had back-to-back not great defensive performances, and I think they're like 0-2-1 in their last 3 games. So not great stuff there from the Washington Capitals. Then we saw the Nashville Predators, after giving up the first goal to the Tampa Bay Lightning, score 5 straight goals and beat Tampa 5-1 to improve to 14-12-0. 3 straight wins. They're back up to 2 games above 500, dropping the Tampa Bay Lightning to 12-11-5, who are back down to only 1 game above 500. So not a great game there from the Bolts. This was a game where they could have easily started to hold on and lock down the game that they have the past few games, but they absolutely collapsed, and this was a really good game from the Predators. So for the Predators, McDonough and Shen both had a goal and assist, while Forsberg, Trenton, and Parson also scored for the Predators in the win, and Barbulli was the lone goal scorer for the Bolts in the loss. So once again, this was a very complete effort from Nashville, who was able to come back after giving up the first goal. Meanwhile, for Tampa, they needed to play a lot more like they did against Pittsburgh and against Dallas over the past couple of days than they did against Nashville, because they're not doing overly well and they play like they did against Nashville. So really bad stuff there for Tampa as they fall in the standings, while Nashville has got back up to 2 games above 500 and they started to climb back up into a playoff spot. So really good stuff there for Nashville. Then we saw the battle of the top 2 picks from the 2023 draft. Leo Carlsson, who was taken 2nd overall by Anaheim, played Connor Bedard, who was taken 1st overall by Chicago for the first time in their careers, as the Chicago Blackhawks played Anaheim Ducks. In this game, it was the Blackhawks who emerged victorious over the Anaheim Ducks 1-0. Very close, low-scoring game. Bedard was able to get an assist on the only goal in the game for the Chicago Blackhawks, and that was a huge win for them. Hawks improved to 8-16-1. Ducks dropped to 10-16-0, and I think they've lost like 10 of 11. So really bad stuff there from Anaheim, but Chicago now has points in back-to-back games, which is really good for them. For the Blackhawks, Khrushchev was the lone goal scorer, and Mrazek stopped all 37 shots he faced in the shutout and the victory for the Hawks. So once again, battle of 2 teams who have been losing a lot recently, and the Hawks are able to get a very narrow 1-0 victory. So really good stuff there for the Hawks. Then we saw the Philadelphia Flyers beat the Arizona Coyotes 4-1, ending the Coyotes' 5-game winning streak. Well, they have their 3rd straight win in recent memory. Really good stuff there for the Flyers, continuing to show that they're a really good team this year. I still think at some point they probably will fall off, but they're at this point up to 14-10-2 and one of the top teams in the Metro Division. So Philly's doing really good. For the Arizona Coyotes, not great. They lose their first game in a while. They drop down to 13-10-2. They're still above 500 by 3 games, which is fantastic, but this wasn't a fantastic performance from Arizona in this one. For the Philadelphia Flyers, Konechny scored twice, York had a goal and an assist, and Farabee also scored for the Flyers in the win, while Kroos was the lone goal scorer for the Coyotes in the loss. So once again, not a great showing there from Arizona, and not as good a showing as they've been showing over the past couple of games against teams like the Caps, the Blues, the Avalanche. But this was a really good game for Philadelphia, and they are able to beat the Arizona Coyotes. So really good stuff there. Then we saw the Winnipeg Jets narrowly defeat the Avalanche 4-2 to start to gain a little bit on the division and improve to 15-2. This was a really good win for the Jets, who were able to be 3rd in the Central at this point in time and gain on 1st place Colorado. So this was a really good win there. And they also keep ahead of a team like Arizona. So really good win there for the Jets. Meanwhile, the Avalanche dropped to 16-2 in the season. So not a great game there from the Avalanche. And the Jets were able to gain on the Avalanche in the standings. Connor scored twice, Morrissey had a goal and an assist, and Lowry also scored for the Jets in the win. While McKinnon had a goal and an assist, and Kiviranta also scored for the Avalanche in the loss. So not a great game there from the Avalanche, and definitely one that they really probably wanted to win, especially given the fact that the Jets are a team trying to catch them. Meanwhile, for the Jets, it was a fantastic win. I think they're only 2 or 3 points now back of the Avalanche first spots in the top end of the Central Division. So really bad loss there for the Avalanches. Jets and now Stars also gain on their standings. Meanwhile, for the Jets, it was a really good win and they improved in their standings. So really good stuff there from Winnipeg. So next we have the Carolina Hurricanes. They came out starting on fire. They were able to get out to an early 2-0 lead, hold on to the end of the second with that 2-0 lead. It looked like the Carolina Hurricanes were going to run away with this game, but then the Calgary Flames were able to score 3 third-period goals, including this goal here from Blake Coleman, which was what wound up being the game winner, and the third one that broke the tie to give the Calgary Flames a 3-2 victory and improved themselves to 11-12-3, while the Carolina Hurricanes dropped yet again to 14-11-1. So not a great game there from Carolina to blow a 2-goal lead entering the third period. They're not playing overly well right now, while Calgary showed their resiliency to get a huge win. For Calgary, they had a goal and an assist from Blake Coleman, and both Zari and Anderson also scored for the Flames, while Nosen and Bunting were 2-goal scorers for the Carolina Hurricanes in the loss as they dropped to 14-11-1. So once again, not a great game there from Carolina, and this road trip through West Canada has not been overly great for them. Meanwhile, for the Calgary Flames, huge win, very good resilient win. They're now back to only 1 game below 500, so really good stuff there for them. Then we saw the Vancouver Canucks and the Minnesota Wild's winning streak. The Wild, who came into this game with a 4-game winning streak, would get shut out 2-0 by the Vancouver Canucks, who improved to 17-1 and dropped the Wild to 9-11-4. So not a great game there from the Wild. They could not get any offensive going. The Smiths absolutely shut down their offensive chances, and the Canucks were able to get a couple of goals. Höglander and Bluger were the 2-goal scorers for the Canucks, while the Smiths stopped all 26 shots he faced in the shutout win for Vancouver. So really good stuff there from the Canucks, who show that they can definitely hang with some of the best of them, and they definitely really did good against the Wild, who they end their losing streak against. So very good stuff there from Vancouver. Meanwhile, for New Jersey Devils, they were able to beat the Seattle Kraken 2-1 to improve to 13-10-1, dropping the Kraken to 8-13-6. Not a great game there from the Kraken. This was a really close game. Kraken had a multitude of opportunities to come up, but the Devils this time played fantastic defensively, even without Hamilton. Are able to get another win. They're now 3 games above 500, so that's fantastic news for the Devils. Simon Nemec, who has his first career NHL goal, as you can see here, was able to get the game winner. So that was a fantastic goal for Nemec. Also, Palat scored for the New Jersey Devils in the win, while Cartier was the lone goal scorer for the Kraken in the loss. So really good stuff to see Nemec score after his debut a couple of days ago. He's been very fantastic, and Nemec was able to get his first career NHL goal and the game winner. And the Devils, with Nemec and Palat scoring, outscored Cartier and were able to beat the Kraken. So not a bad game there from the Kraken. They had a really good game in this one, but it was a loss. They continue to lose. They're now down to 5 games below 500, and they're not doing overly well. Meanwhile, for the New Jersey Devils, fantastic win there to improve their record and inch closer to some of the top teams in the Metro Division. So very good stuff there from New Jersey. Those are all the games we had on Thursday. Those are 13 games that played on Thursday. Next, we have the 3 games that played on Friday. Not too many games on Friday, but there were a couple of good ones. Columbus Blue Jackets this time, I think, went to the third period with a 3-1 lead. We know they've had a couple of third period collapses over the past couple of games, and this time they were able to hold on. They were able to score a couple of goals, and they ended up beating the St. Louis Blues 5-2 to improve to 9-15-5, dropping the Blues to 13-12-1. So this was a fantastic game for the Jackets. Definitely a lot more of a complete third period than they have in the past few games, and this was definitely a really good win for the Jackets to close in on double-digit win mark. For the Jackets, Chinakhov had 3.0 with 2 goals and 8 assists. Marchenko had a goal and 8 assists. Voronkov had 2 assists, and Fantilli and Texier also scored, while Greaves made 41 saves in his first NHL win. So good to see Jet Greaves, who was called up due to some injuries to Elvis Merzlikins, get his start and the win for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Meanwhile, for the Blues, Thomas scored both goals in the loss. So not great stuff there from the St. Louis Blues, who fall only a game above 500. They're falling in the Central Division standings, so not great stuff there from St. Louis, but this was a fantastic game from the Jackets. Finally have a complete third period effort, and they're doing a lot better now. Then we saw the Florida Panthers, after giving up the first goal to the Pittsburgh Penguins, score 3 unanswered goals, including this goal here from Eetu Luostarinen, which was the eventual game winner. Give the Panthers a 3-1 victory and improved themselves to 16-2, while dropping the Penguins back to below 500 at 11-12-3. So a really good game there from the Panthers. They were able to score a couple of goals, take back the lead, and they were able to get the game winner. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Penguins did not do overly well in this game. For the Panthers, Lundell had 2 assists, while Barkov, Luostarinen, and Oyel were 3 goal scorers for the Panthers in the win, and Riley Smith was the lone goal scorer for the Penguins in the loss, who opened the scoring in this game. So once again, not great stuff there from the Penguins, who wound up losing this game, and this was a really good game that they really should have had. But really good stuff there from Florida, who continues to find ways to win. And don't look now, but Florida, I think, is only a couple of points back of the Boston Bruins. So they're doing really well. They're taking advantage of Boston's slow last couple of games, and they're playing really, really well. And as for the last game of the night yesterday, we saw the Edmonton Oilers take on the Minnesota Wild. This was a really good game. Oilers opened the scoring, Wild were then up 2-1, then the Oilers were down 3-2, then the Oilers were up 4-3 early in the third, thanks to an early third period goal from Evan Bouchard, and that's the way the game finished. The Oilers defense was able to shut the door, and they were able to beat the Minnesota Wild 4-3. Fantastic win there for the Edmonton Oilers. Their winning streak is up to 6, and they improved to 11-12-1, only 1 game below 500 now, while the Wilds dropped to 9-12-4, and after just like Calgary, a really good stretch, they're now back down to 3 games below 500. So not great stuff there from Minnesota. For the Oilers, RNH had a 4-point night, Bouchard had a 3-point night with 2 goals and 8 assists, and Drysdale and McDavid both had a goal and 8 assists for the Oilers in the win, while Boldy had a goal and 8 assists, Johansson and Faber had 2 assists, and Eck and Doer both also scored for the Wild in the loss. So it was a really good game from both sides, but the Oilers were able to come away with the victory. These two teams don't defend overly well, so this was a really high scoring affair, and in this one it was the Oilers who came away with the victory. So really good stuff there for the Oilers as they continue to try and get back into the playoff race. Well, for the Wild, after some really good stuff over the past couple of games, they now have back-to-back losses, and they're back down to 3 games below 500. So not great stuff there for the Wild. But those are your games from the past couple of days. Those were the 3 games on Friday. So there have been a lot of really great games over the past couple of days. We don't have any 20 game reviews to talk about because all of that's over. We talked about that in our last video. So really good stuff there. I'll look quickly at a couple of game previews for the next couple of days. There are 12 games today, followed by 8 games tomorrow on Sunday and 4 games on Wednesday. So we have a lot of games of NHL action over the next couple of days. So we'll start today. After the recording of this video, the Arizona Coyotes are playing the Boston Bruins. Bruins looking to get back to more securely in the Atlantic Division for the title. Arizona's looking to get back on the winning side of things and start to creep closer to Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado and get a huge win to secure their spot for first wild card at this point in time. At 1 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Devils taking on the Flames. Devils looking for yet another win to improve to 4 games above 500, closing in on top 3 in the Metro Division. Flames looking to get back up to 500 and go back up to 12-12-3. The Knights play Stars for I think the 3rd time already this year. These two teams have had 2 fantastic games to start, 2 of the best teams in the West so far this year, so both teams are going to be looking for a huge 2 points against their rivals. Then at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Ottawa Senators taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Sens looking to get back up to 500. Red Wings looking to close the gap between them and the Panthers and the Bruins. The Canadiens, who are 1 game below 500, take on the Sabres, who are 3 games below 500. Both teams have not had overly great seasons, and they're the 2 Atlantic Division teams besides Ottawa, who are under 500, so both teams are going to be looking to get closer to 500. Then we have the Predators take on the Maple Leafs. Leafs looking to keep pace with Florida and Boston for a top 3 spot in the Atlantic. Preds looking to get back up to 3 games above 500. Then we have the Rangers and the Capitals at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Rangers looking to increase their lead in the Metro Division. Caps looking to keep a top 3 spot in the Metro, so that'll be interesting to see. At 4:30, we have the Islanders taking on the Kings. Islanders looking to get another win, improve to 5 games above 500, and sort of get in a more comfortable position in the Metro. Kings look for yet another road win, and they look to improve to 17-4-3. Then we see the Blues taking on the Blackhawks. Blues looking to avoid going back down to 500. Blackhawks looking for a point in the 3rd straight game. Flyers then take on the Avalanche at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Flyers looking to improve to another win and continuing to do really well in the Metro. Avalanche look to keep ahead of teams like the Jets and the Stars for top spots in the Central Division. Then at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Bolts, who look to avoid going back down to 500, taking on the Kraken team, who is in desperate need of a win now 5 games below 500. And we have the Carolina Hurricanes, who are looking to at least get something out of their West Canadian road trip, taking on the Vancouver Canucks, who are looking for another win. So that'll be interesting games to see. Then on Sunday, we have 8 games to discuss. The Florida Panthers will be looking to narrow the gap between them and the Boston Bruins, taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets team, who is looking for their double-digit win. Then at 1 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Devils taking on the Oilers. Devils look to end their West Canadian road trip with a really good game against the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers looking to get back up to 500. Then at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Caps take on the Blackhawks. Caps looking to, after a game against the Rangers, close in on a top 3 spot in the Metro. Hawks looking to get another point. Then we have the Preds take on the Canadiens. Preds looking to get even further above 500. Canadiens possibly, if they win today against Buffalo, looking to get above 500. The LA Kings take on New York Rangers. This could be a potential Stanley Cup final preview the way these 2 teams are playing. For the Kings, they'll be looking for yet another road win. For the Rangers, they're going to be looking for an important victory over the LA Kings to increase their lead in the Metro. Then we have the Jets take on the Ducks at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Ducks trying to get a win to avoid yet another loss. Jets looking to improve in the Central Division and climb the rankings to close in on Dallas and Colorado. Then we have Minnesota taking on Seattle. Seattle's looking for a must-need win on Sunday against the Wild, who are going to be looking to close the gap between them and 500 again. And then we have the Sharks taking on the Golden Knights, one of the worst teams in the NHL against one of the best teams in the NHL. That will be a really interesting game to see. And then we have 4 games on Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. There are 2 games. Leafs take on the Islanders. Leafs trying to improve in the Atlantic. Islanders trying to improve in the Metro. The Sabres take on the Coyotes. It's possible Sabres, with a win in that game and against the Montreal Canadiens today, could go within 1 game of 500. Coyotes looking to get another win to improve themselves even closer and closer to teams like the Jets, Avs, and Stars. At 5 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Stars and the Red Wings. Stars looking to get closer to the Avalanche. Red Wings looking to keep pace with teams like Toronto, Florida, Boston, and the Atlantic. And then the Avalanche take on the Flames. Avs trying to keep ahead of teams like Dallas and Winnipeg. Calgary looking to get back up to possibly above 500 for the first time in an extremely long period of time. So those are your game previews for the next couple of days. Going over to a quick look at the standings as of December 9th, 2023. The Boston Bruins lead the Atlantic Division with 37 points, followed by 34-point Florida and 32-point Detroit. 37-point New York Rangers are first in the Metro, followed by 30-point Philly and 29-point NYI. Then the 2 teams in the wildcard spot are 30-point Toronto and 29-point Carolina, and they're followed by 29-point Tampa, 27-point Washington, 27-point Jersey, 25-point Pittsburgh, 25-point Montreal, 24-point Buffalo, 23-point Columbus, and 20-point Ottawa, all have a playoff spot. But remember, Ottawa has a ton of games in hand on everyone else. So those are your standings standings in the East. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, Colorado have 34 points. They lead the Central, followed by 33-point Dallas and 32-point Winnipeg. Vegas has 39 points. They lead the Pacific, followed by 35-point LA and Vancouver. Then in the wildcard spots, you have 28-point Arizona and 28-point Nashville. We're currently on the playoff spots. And then you have 27-point St. Louis, 25-point Calgary, 23-point Edmonton, 22-point Minnesota, 22-point Seattle, 20-point Anaheim, 18 points San Jose, and 17 points Chicago, all on the outside looking in. So lots of interesting stuff there in our standings. That's all I'm going to talk about for today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What were some of your more interesting games over the past couple of days? Which ones do you think were the best ones in your opinion? Which games are you looking forward to over the next 3 days? And are you surprised at anything in the standings? Are you surprised that Arizona's in a playoff spot, Nashville's in a playoff spot? Philly and NYI are two of the top 3 teams in the Metropolitan Division. Are you surprised by any of those things? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all that down in the comment section below. But that's all I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video, and if you really like it, remember to subscribe down below. We are so close to 200 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do without you guys, so don't forget to subscribe. Also a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so definitely check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and I can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.